Okay, this is example 6 for section 9.3 day 2. So one more example in section 9.3 day 2. So this says a ball is dropped from a window at a height of 81 feet. So let's do a little sketch here. You should always start these with a sketch. So this is our building. I don't know, I'll kind of make it look like a building. And we got a window here. And the window is 81 feet. So I'm going to say this is 81. Okay, someone drops a ball out the window. So what does the ball do when it drops out the window? It falls down. So this is the ground. It says the function h, which is an h because it represents the height in feet. So this means our y-axis is feet of the ball, x seconds. So our x-axis is seconds. So time is our independent variable, and height, H-E-I-G-H-T, which is feet, is our dependent variable, or our y value. Then it says, how long does it take for the ball to hit the ground? Okay, right there is the ball on the ground. Ball on the ground. So that point where our parabola, I'm just going to put a little sketch here, where our parabola intersects the x-axis is called an x-intercept, or a zero. We call it a zero because the y value is 0. A ball on the ground has no height, so the y value is 0. So we are finding our zeros, or our solutions, or our x-intercept. Okay, so we're finding our zeros. So if we're finding our zeros, that means our height is 0. So this h is 0, because if our ball is on the ground, it has no height. Okay, this looks like solving by square roots. I want to get this x squared by itself. I only have an x squared. I don't have an x, so I don't need to factor or anything like that. This is exactly a section 9.3 problem. So subtract 81 from both sides. That's gone, and I have negative 16x squared equals negative 81. Woo, 81! That's a perfect square, isn't it? Interesting. Divide both sides by negative 16. Negative 16 divided by negative 16 is 1, so those 1 out. And I get x squared equals 2 negatives make a positive, so I'm going to write that as 81 over 16. And, oh, wait a minute. I'm not doing that square root yet. That's my next step. My next step is to get rid of that power of 2. So I want to square root both sides, and when I do that, put your plus or minus in there. So now I have x, remember the square root gets rid of the power of 2, equals the square root of 81 over 16. I'm going to put my plus and minus up here first. And then I'm going to show you a different way that you could try this, because this is a real world problem, and oftentimes those have decimal answers. So what I want you to do for this one is get your calculator. I want you to do the square root. So second x squared, get your square root. And then I want you to put this whole fraction in there. So I want you to put 81 divided by 16 in there. I'm going to close my parenthesis this time. So the square root of 81 divided by 16. I didn't do this in the previous example when we had a decimal answer, but this is another way to do it. And then I'm going to hit enter, and I get 2.25. So plus or minus 2.25. Okay, now let's think about our question that we're answering. This is two answers, positive 2.25 and negative 2.25. I thought I was only finding this point where the ball hits the ground. Why do I have two answers? So this other answer, if I drew the other side of the parabola, would be this x-intercept over here. But we're talking about a ball, and we're talking about real world. And our x value is seconds. So thinking of negative seconds doesn't make sense. Time is always positive. So I only want the positive solution, which when we're doing these real world situations is typically what we want. We want all of the information in quadrant 1 where x is positive and y is positive. So the only answer I want here is positive 2.25 seconds. Remember, a story problem requires a story answer. Do not forget your units. 2.25 seconds is when the ball hits the ground. Okay, that's it for lesson 3.3, or 9.3, sorry.